We got voice messages.
Oh, do we?
Go to anchor.fm/the CU podcast. You leave a voicemail. No money involved. I mean, if you want to send us a tip, you can do that. Or send us a little Patreon. But we got some questions, and here you go.
Hey, Pat and Ian. I know you're both wrestling fans, and it seems like there's only a tiny handful of pro wrestling games that are actually good. The main problem, in my opinion, is that wrestling games are designed like fighting games, where all these contingencies need to be made for it to simulate what we see on TV. Also, these games have evolved, but the core gameplay still comes down to who wins matches. In reality, win-loss records are a relatively minor detail in pro wrestling. Having the right combination of athleticism, charisma, and aesthetics, building rapport with the audience, and nurturing relationships with the right people backstage is what really matters. Do you think those types of aspects could be captured in a modern pro wrestling game if we threw out the tried and true fighting game type formula? What do you think?
I don't know, because then you're admitting that it's staged and it's not like a sport, a traditional sport. And wrestling games, for the most part, treat it like it's real, like it's a reality.
Right.
You know?
It would be difficult, but I do think there is a place for that type of game, and there is a well-made. I've never put it into action and played it, but I've read the rule book a number of times, and it gets good reviews online. Worldwide Wrestling is a pen and paper RPG that fully embraces all aspects of that. When you fight, you work a match. Like, you work the match, you coordinate to get the ratings up. There's backstage stuff. There is stuff that happens to you in your personal life that's outside of your character life. It's a really interesting
contract stuff. Things like that?
It's a really interesting game with a really cool rule set, and I think you could probably successfully play it with about 6 people. And there's the GM duties rotate, so everyone gets to play a wrestler, but the GM and the announcer kind of play the same role as you're officiating the match.
There's actually an announcer. Someone's going to say hey, this is the match.
So basically, the wrestlers decide what they're going to do, and then the announcer is the one who basically puts it into action and says exactly what's happened, does die roll and stuff like that. It's neat.
So the WrestleMania rumors are trying to get Stone Cold back for a match. That's the rumor.
Jesus.
Hey guys, love this show. I got a question for Ian. Ian, sorry to make it depressing, but you've been very open about your mental health in the past. And so my question for you is that hundreds, maybe thousands of viewers and listeners think to themselves, I need help, but the idea of talking to a stranger is a little too scary to them. So what would your advice for that person be?
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's just one of those things that kind of is part of the first step is getting over that fear of talking to someone. If you think that there might be a person that you're better suited to talk to, for instance, when I was younger, I had a good relationship with my general practitioner. So I spoke with her initially about the mental health problems that I was having because I'd been seeing her for so long. And while that wasn't her area of expertise, she knew me well enough that she knew where to kind of point me in the right directions to go. I also think if you are concerned about, speaking to a doctor or medically about it, Therapy is something that has helped me. There are a lot of places that will do, and this is one of those things where I would actually, I have a little trepidation because I've never really done it to start off, but I think this is one of those areas where the rise of telehealth could very much help someone.
Oh, sure.
It's
not
fine.
It's not a big commitment. Yeah.
Right. Now you're going to have to go, and especially if you go to a psychiatrist or something, if you might end up on some medication, you're going to have to go see a psychiatrist. They're going to want an in-person, appointment at some point, take some blood work, your height, weight, get those tests and get a full picture of you. But eventually you can move on to that. I moved on to telehealth for most of my appointments. And honestly, it took a doctor that I wasn't super comfortable seeing in person and made the experience a lot better by being able to do it on the telephone. So I think that's, I would
resume.
Yeah. So I think that's where you should look is look at look at what's available to you locally, and then ask about their telehealth options so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. I got to tell you, doing those appointments with Spike in my lap definitely makes things a lot easier.
And then the one thing to understand about it is that everyone has these sort of issues.
Right, absolutely.
Even if they're not vocalized and publicly. So there's no shame in having mental health issues. That's the thing. There's always a stigma attached to it when you should treat it like any other general, physical health issue. That's the thing. Like we have to look at it the same way. It's like having, it's like having a sprained ankle. It's just, but it's in your head. That's it. It's still something that has to, something that has to be addressed. And there's no shame in having it addressed. The same way you would, when there's no shame in addressing, like a cavity in your tooth. You have someone help you with it. It's the same thing. And I think that's the first step, realizing that it's not something to be ashamed of. Like everyone has, mental health issues to some extent. Absolutely. What's the next one here?
Hey, y'all. Joseph from Richmond, Virginia here. Did your parents ever buy you a game that they shouldn't have at the time? My mom bought my brother and I, as young children, Conker's Bad Fur Day because she thought it was the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie and didn't understand the rating system. And she also bought my brother Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball when he was 14 because he is gay, and she was hoping that it would convert him to be straight. And we laugh about it today and call it Dead or Alive Extreme Gay Conversion Therapy. Thank you.
Well, I guess you got more enjoyment out of it. At least you out of that presence. Wow. Okay.
Jeez. My parents, I don't think really ever. I mean, it's like what is appropriate. My parents were though kind of picky as a kid. It was funny. Like Mortal Kombat was like a thing. They were like, we're not buying that for you. But my dad also came home with Doom 2 and was like, let's all sit down and play some Doom 2. Like it's just what your parents are like. You realize parents just make it up as they go along.
No, for me, I can give you a laundry list of movies I shouldn't have seen.
Sure.
With my father, especially in the theater. My father took me to see violent-ass movies and rented them all the time. Fortunately, I don't think it screwed me up to the extent that it could have. But there's no way I should have been watching Predator when I was 7 years old. Like, literally watching this stuff as soon as I come out of
right.
And then going to see RoboCop, which scarred me as a kid.
Oh, RoboCop is not a movie for children.
Scarred me as a kid, RoboCop. Yeah. I can't believe that. And then going to see Lethal Weapon 2 in the theater, like really violent movies. Absolutely. Next one.
Hey, Batman, Phil from Portland. I was just wondering if you guys ever considered Spy vs. Spy for the NES as probably one of the first roguelikes, because I was actually playing it the other day, and the maps are random, where the items are random, and I just felt like, I was like, wow, this is pretty much a roguelike.
It's a roguelike would be like a randomized map, wouldn't it?
I get what he's saying because there's randomized elements, but not everything that has some randomization is a roguelike or even a roguelite. The gameplay is just so out of the ordinary different that I wouldn't because one of the other main things about roguelikes, in addition to the randomized dungeon, is the nature of pretty much all of them give you one chance to run through something.
Oh, okay.
You get one chance.
Okay.
And then, some roguelites are kind of the ones where you can, when you die, you'll get money that'll save that you can use to purchase upgrades that'll help you in your next run. But you're almost always starting over from scratch in some way, shape, or form to get through a roguelite. So a roguelite. So no, I wouldn't consider it one. But I understand his train of thought. I understand the train of thought.
Hey, Pat and Ian. My name is Andy. I'm just from outside Chicago. I just want to thank you guys for many years of podcasting, videos, all that great stuff. You guys, along with James Rolfe and other guys in the community, got me through a lot of dark times in my life to help me appreciate myself, especially abusive ex-wife who didn't appreciate me being a gaming collector, nerd, Ninja Turtle fanatic, etc. But thankfully, it's been almost 10 years since I've been away from her, and I've been in a great marriage with my current wife and 3-year-old son. My quick question is, if there was a startup sound you could have to your video game console, what would it be?
What would your startup sound be to a console?
It'd be Spike yelling.
Does Spike actually yell?
Yeah. Yeah, he yells at night.
Or like a velociraptor?
Yeah, he meows real loud. So yeah, I would actually probably.
Does he meow for food or just for attention?
I think he's just, he gets up in the middle of the night. He's old.
Cranky.
He doesn't know exactly what's going on.
Where am I? Where am I? Who's
Needs to yell for a little bit. Yeah.
Startup sound. Was anything on here I can do here?
What?
That'll be my startup sound. You still don't know what that is.
No.
That's so funny.
Hey Pat, hey Ian, this is Joe from Orlando.
Hey,
I have a question for both of you, and please forgive me if you've already had this question. Were there any ad campaigns growing up that you vividly remember and may have made you purchase a specific game or console? I still remember the Genesis Does campaign, and I actually sold my NES along with 20 games to get a Sega Genesis with Sonic 2.
Wow.
A decision I was really happy with at first, but I would later regret years later. The advertising definitely had an impact on me, and I can still remember all of the commercials by heart. Thanks, guys. Take care.
None that I think really made me go out and buy a game, but I will never forget Mortal Monday.
Oh, no one forgets that dumb kid.
Yeah, I'll never
Yelling
forget.
in the street.
Yeah, I'll never forget Mortal Monday.
Little brat. No one forgets that kid.
So
the TurboGrafx 16 commercials were, I think, very influential in me wanting the system. Obviously, knowing about it, there's no other way I would know about a TurboGrafx 16.
right.
Besides the circulars, but those were very influential. Whenever they started writing those, summer of '89, those were big. All right, I do a few more here.
Hey guys, it's Quick Command from the northeast of the UK. Just wanted to say congratulations on 300 episodes. It's been a long ride. It's
been a while.
My question is, what fighting game characters do you really like the appearance of, personality of,
Whoa.
the whole character, but you just absolutely cannot stand playing as?
So I think
The question was, what fighting game characters do you really like the look of that you cannot stand playing as?
Okay, the look of.
Generally, I like a lot of the grappler characters in fighting games, the way they look, the big characters. I think partially because, Potemkin in Guilty Gear, Big Band in Skullgirls, Geef in Street Fighter, King, yeah, I like King a lot.
King's awesome.
But I am
It's tough to use.
really bad with any fighting game character that's a grappler, because they generally have the full circle throws of the joystick and stuff like that. And
you can mess people up with King if you know how to do it.
oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm generally not very
Northern
good with
Lights suplex, German suplexes, power bombs.
I got halfway decent with Zangief in 4, maybe, but that's probably the best I've ever done.
Well, he was tough to use in the original because he was so slow and couldn't jump.
Yeah.
And I still to this day can only do the spinning pile driver one out of 8 or 9 times. It's for some reason the mechanic escapes me on the timing of everything without him doing a regular suplex or someone else. Zangief has so many, even the original game has so many. There's 7 different things he can do. There's a little power bomb. He can bite you. You can do a vertical suplex. Throw over the shoulder. They're all nuanced things with the controller that weren't documented in even the manual. But the 360 pile driver, you'd be perfect on the timing to not jump. That's one that always, one I couldn't get.
Yeah, tough stuff.
Tough stuff.
Tough stuff.
All right, next one.
Hey, Pat. This is Richard calling from Bronx, New York. You mentioned on your podcast that you haven't seen Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Okay, guys, stop real quick. I confused that with the Carpenter one about the police station. I confused them. Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 is the one where they take over the train.
Yeah.
And I did see a lot of that with Walter Matthau, the original one. And then they did the remake with Travolta and Denzel Washington. But I did see a part of it with Matthau before I cut you off, and that's Matthau you can watch at anything. But go on, Richard.
Just telling you that 1974 version is one of my favorite movies of all time. I actually worked for the New York City subway. I actually had Kaz Dalowitz's old job there at Grand Central Tower, and we quote that movie on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a great movie. If you never saw it,
Nope.
I haven't seen it all, but I've seen enough where I'm this is a gritty '70s sort of movie with Matthau as the guy running the subway sort of stuff. Yeah, he's the guy talking to the terrorists on the train, and then again Travolta. They made the terrorists in one of the last Travolta things where he was a leading man in a movie. That was Bald Travolta stage.
Travolta.
The last stage of Travolta.
Gotti Travolta.
That was the Rug Travolta.
Oh, yeah.
All right, do you like 2 more?
Hey, Pat. Hey, Ian. Rick Pasley here from Rensselaer, Indiana. I have a great question for both of you. if WWE 2K22, let's say it flops, what would happen?
I don't know, but I don't think these games ever flop because all the fanboys buy these games every year. So I mean,
Right. I don't think you have to worry about it flopping. What will happen is it could absolutely be a critical nightmare, but as long as it sells to the fanboys, they'll keep them going. But I do think there is a big chance. Big chance that this has got a good pop on that one. That this will be a fucking nightmare.
Well, because it's a new engine.
It's a new engine, but that's the problem. The Ukes engine or engines like the Ukes engine have just been for so long how wrestling has gone that if they try to reinvent the wheel, I don't think it's going to go super well.
Well, they can probably do a similar gameplay engine.
But I have a feeling it's just going to look like the Ukes engine. But
yeah,
buggy? I don't know. I just what I heard about how bad the code looked, essentially, after years and years of 2K and Ukes kind of cobbling it together.
15 years of cobbling together, more than 15. Yeah.
It was a nightmare. So it'll be interesting to see if they really do have a fresh engine.
Yeah, that keep hacking stuff. So eventually, this is falling apart. Yeah. Yeah. Then you have like Ronda Rousey's arms waving around and people falling through the rings, and you can't have that.
Jericho's brain leaving his skull.
Was that one?
I think that was one of them.
The brains were in there?
Or it was like the face was,
the face comes off.
Yeah, the face comes off.
I mean, come on. We want to check in with someone else?
Yeah, might as well.
Hey, Tommy here. Just going for a little hike with my shirt off. Figured it would be good to, I don't know, clear my head and maybe even give me some kind of understanding of certain people. Why they might stab me in the back like this. You know, it's like, you can't do enough for some people. It doesn't matter how many times you give them a ride in your Ferrari, just so you can turn around one day, all of a sudden, and just one day, boom. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like, you know, not for nothing. My time is really valuable and shit. Oh man, I swear to God. If I throw up in the middle of another fucking voicemail. Oh, Pat, by the way, I don't know if anybody told you, but this past podcast isn't showing up on iOS, so you know. Get it together, man. You're embarrassing yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. I didn't realize it wasn't coming up on iTunes.
Was he being swarmed by mosquitoes?
I don't know. I heard construction in the back. I heard a highway in the background. Yeah. I like sort of pensive, philosophical hiking Tommy there. That was interesting. Without a shirt. I don't know who would want to create content without a shirt. Someone desperate, but anyway.
Right.
Thanks so much for that. I like that. I like that version of Tommy.
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful.